D2 Word Life here with Rip Crash Tides.
Go fuck yourself, D2 trash can life loving bitch.
No. I'm not a Dominic Mysterio fan. That's more like you. But anyway, we're not talking about Dominic Mysterio or how trash he is. This week we're reviewing Money in the Bank 2010 that took place on July 18th, 2010 in Kansas City, Missouri at the Sprint Center, now known as the T-Mobile Center, with an attendance of 8,000.
Yeah, that's because T-Mobile bought them out.
Exactly. I just felt like pointing that out. And the commentators for this event were Jerry Lawler, Matt Stryker, and your favorite commentator of all time, your boy Michael Cole.
Nope, actually it's the other way around for you.
I'm just happy this past week on Raw, Michael Cole wasn't wearing an orange tank top.
I would have laughed.
Instead, he was wearing like a freaking jersey, so I'm like, okay, that's fine. And the ring announcers for this event were Tony Chimmel and Justin Roberts, representing Raw and SmackDown respectively. And of course, there was a dark match that happened for the fans in attendance before the show went on air, and that dark match saw Santino Marella defeating William Regal. I don't recall William Regal still wrestling in 2010. Maybe he retired the following year or later on in the year. But be that as it may. Anyway, the opening contest for after their like opening package and beginning hype for the event, the opening contest for this pay-per-view was the SmackDown Money in the Bank ladder match for a World Heavyweight Championship match contract, which Big Show versus Matt Hardy versus Christian versus Kane versus Kofi Kingston versus Dashing Cody Rhodes versus Drew McIntyre versus Dolph Ziggler. No, yeah, for the record here, you remember freaking Drew McIntyre's original theme song? I actually like that. That's what he had here before he became a big main event star.
Yeah, what was yours is now mine.
Or better known as Broken Dreams. I actually like that theme song. And yeah, this match was intense from the get-go. It's like, just like every Money in the Bank ladder match would be. At one time, Kofi Kingston performed his signature boom drop off the ladder onto McIntyre to the announcer's table.
Yeah.
And then a little later on, another highlight was Big Show pulling that supersized, comically huge ladder out from under the ring. Is it just me, or did you also notice Big Show was struggling to get that giant-ass ladder into the ring?
Well, that ladder weighed over 300 and something fucking pounds. That was two fucking gigantic-ass ladders fused together.
Yeah, and that big ladder would come into play near the end. Yeah, and then Big Show had it set up, but Kane pushed the ladder over, and well, at one point in the match, Big Show ended up on the outside, and then Big Show got buried under multiple ladders from everybody else, and Kane even chokeslammed, I believe, Kofi Kingston on top of Big Show, who was sandwiched in the ladders.
Yes.
And I'm like, ow, right?
That was funny as hell.
Yeah, near the end of the match, McIntyre looked like he was going to grab the briefcase near the end, but then Kane got up there and performed a chokeslam on McIntyre, knocking him out, and Kane freaking grabbed the briefcase to win the match. And I know I didn't go through all the spots like usual now, but your thoughts on this opening contest with this devastation with Kane winning the Money in the Bank here?
It was good. Was Kane the fucking dominant? Was Kane and Big Show getting the shit kicked out of them in the beginning? Yes.
That's because they
Did
were
that last? Maybe 10 seconds?
well, that was because they were two of the biggest threats in the match compared to everyone else. Of course, they were going to be ganged up on. But, that strategy didn't really work. Right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, Kane won the SmackDown Money in the Bank. I thought it was a good way to kick off the show. A lot of intense carnage throughout the whole match. I mean, you're just going to have to see this for yourself. But, yeah, as far as the winner Kane goes, yeah, this won't be the last we talk about him during this review.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, but we go on to the next match of the night, which was for the Divas Championship. I really don't like talking about this title, but we have to anyway. It was Divas champion Alicia Fox defending against Eve Torres. There was some back and forth in the match. It was a short match, by the way. But after some back and forth and some potential teases of Eve Torres winning this match, Alicia Fox got the upper hand at the end and performed a scissors kick to Eve to retain the Divas Championship. This was more set for this was like the cool down match after the Money in the Bank match that kicked off the show.
Yeah.
I felt like, in my opinion. But your thoughts on this Divas title match? I could care less much about it. I'm not saying that the two women involved in this were bad or anything. They were just, out there dealing with the time slot they were given.
It was good. Did freaking Eve Torres get distracted? Yes. Did Alicia Fox take advantage of it? Yes.
I don't even remember the interference spot. It was just a or distraction spot. It was just a blur to me. To be honest.
That's because you can freak it out of your memory, bitch.
Yeah, because I was thinking about, what's going to happen later on in the show that we're going to be talking about. Yeah. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah, it just felt kind of average to me. They did their job. It just felt like they did their job. Now, if they were given more time to tell a more better story, I think it probably would have been a little bit above average, despite the interference that you talked about. Right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I really wasn't a fan of that one. But, oh, God, who remembers this? The Hart Dynasty with Natalia in their corner.
David Smith Jr. and Tyson Kidd.
With Natalia in their corner, taking on the Usos. And I'm not talking about, like, face-painted Usos. Yeah, I'm talking about creator wrestler freaking Usos when they first debuted.
These are pre-Usos.
Yes. One of them with short tights, the other one with long tights. I'm just like, huh? Okay, I don't recall them looking like that, but I guess it's what they look like when they first debuted, because when I think of the Usos, around their debut or a couple years after or around this time, I was thinking, they had the face paint and everything else, before they went to the Penitentiary Usos.
This was before Penitentiary, so this is 2 years or a year and a half prior.
Yes.
To those Usos when they face painted.
Yeah, and with the way the Usos looked back then, if somebody would have told us way back in 15 years ago in 2010, like, hey, the new tag team, the Usos? Yeah, that one, the one member by the name of Jey Uso? Yeah, he's a future world champion. If somebody would have told us that back then, we would have called them a damn liar. Am I right?
Yeah.
What'd you say?
I said, we'll see.
I would have just called him a dang liar, because I'd be like, huh? I know what kind of family they came from, but I don't think they'd be main event status. Back then in 2010. I know you would. Back then in 2010. I'm not saying now. Right?
Yeah.
But it looked like the Usos were in control for the most part, tagging in and out. They were doing the heelish tactics, trying to get control of the match to win the championships. But in the end, a freaking like 4-way brawl broke out near the end of the match, which I think Jay was taken out of the equation due to some miscommunication or whatever happened. But in the end, David Hart Smith forced Jimmy Uso to tap out to the sharpshooter. Thus, the Hart Dynasty retained the unified tag team championships.
The thing is the Usos did the alley-oos. Then Tyson Kidd kicked out of that. Went to Davey Hart Boy Smith.
Yeah.
Junior. Yeah. And then Tamina got up onto the ring. Natalya went and took her out with the Jim the Anvil Neidhart body slam.
Yeah, I mean, it was just chaos all over the place at that point.
And then,
like I was saying.
Like I said, Davey Hart, D.H. Smith Jr. came in. Yeah. And then he threw either Jimmy or Jay out of the ring.
It was Jay out of the ring. It was Jimmy that got the sharpshooter.
Okay, so Jay was thrown out of the ring. Tyson Kidd slingshotted himself outside off the top rope
onto Jay
to the outside, taking out Jay, and then Davey Boy Hart Smith Jr. Applied the sharpshooter and put his knuckles into Jimmy's leg.
Yeah.
Really cranking it.
Yeah, but either way, Jimmy tapped out to the sharpshooter. Either way, there was freaking chaos, like I said. Some distractions and some miscommunication there. I don't know. But, either way, it ended with the Hart Dynasty retaining their championship here.
Yeah.
Did I think this match was better than the Divas title match? Yeah, not by much.
You think any match is better than theirs?
No, I wouldn't say any match. There is a match that we haven't talked about yet, which is a contender for the worst match of the night. In my opinion.
Uh-huh.
And, yeah. So, yeah. And before the tag title match, I believe we have to mention this before the world title match because I forgot to mention it beforehand. We've seen Jack Swagger in the back. Talking to his mother on the phone after freaking his father freaking after Raw got beaten up by Kane and Tombstone on the SmackDown beforehand, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and Jack Swagger was all talking. He was like, "Okay, yeah, okay, I get it, Ma. I get it. Shut up! Who the hell tells their mother to shut up on the phone?" And I'm just like, yeah, and when I heard that, I'm like, I'll take things that would have gotten me knocked into next week for $500, Alex. How about you?
If my mom was around and she heard me tell her to shut up, she would have beat my ass.
Yeah, I don't think you would be around to tell the tale. Yeah. Right?
Yeah. No.
But yeah, Jack Swagger pretty much was saying that, yeah, this is what he gets. He's hogging my spotlight and everything else like that. And he goes, tonight I'm going to go back out there and win that World Heavyweight Championship. And I'm just like, wow, if they wanted to make Jack Swagger even more of a douche than he already was, I guess mission accomplished with that promo in the back. Right?
Yes.
And even back when we returned before that Divas title match, they were all like, who the hell tells their mom to shut up on the phone? I'm like, see, even the commentators get it. Oh, no, not me. Hell, I'm in my 30s right now. I still would not do that.
Yes, you would.
Yeah. You got a point. Yeah, I would if I wanted you to attend my funeral by next week. It's like he lived a good life. He was an asshole. Cause of death. He told his mom to shut up. Oh shit.
I want to laugh.
Oh boy. Okay. Yeah. No, I'm good on that one.
And then you write your will. Write your will. You're like, if my friend John laughs, he's an asshole.
You're just laughing through the whole thing.
Well, he knew I was gonna do it, so.
Oh boy, I know. I joke around. I'm a fool. I joke around way too much.
Yeah, no, someone that fucking tells their own mother to shut up is fucking doomed.
I would be like, I feel sorry for you. What time is your funeral next week? That would be my response.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter how old you are, in my opinion. Right?
Yes.
You could be a kid, you could be a teenager, hell, you could be in your 30s or 40s. Yeah, you're doomed. Right?
Yes.
But anyway, that brings us to the next match we're about to talk about, and that is the World Heavyweight Championship match. It was World Champion Rey Mysterio defending against Jack Swagger, and as we know, Rey Mysterio won the World Championship in a Fatal 4-Way at the Fatal 4-Way pay-per-view the month prior from Jack Swagger. And
yeah.
God, Jack Swagger's World Champion, yeah, that reign was obviously forgettable. All right.
Yeah, this was after he cashed in his Money in the Bank.
Yeah, I mean, Jack Swagger, as we know, we cashed in the Money in the Bank the SmackDown after WrestleMania 26. He would have like a 2-month, forgettable reign and lose it to Mysterio at the Fatal 4-Way pay-per-view.
And he would lose it on Friday Night SmackDown in a Fatal 4-Way.
So, and then
the night after, the week after that, he would literally say, "Oh, I filed a petition against the WWE for making me face 4 different people in a Fatal 4-Way."
And usually in a Fatal 4-Way, or most Fatal 4-Ways, they protect the champion by not having him take the pinfall. Nope, Swagger took the pinfall in that one. Yeah, and then he wanted this rematch with Mysterio for Money in the Bank 2010. And then Mysterio wasn't backing down despite having his ankle injured on SmackDown, supposedly, due to the ankle lock from Swagger here. Right?
Yeah.
And, Swagger had the upper hand for most of this matchup, but in the end, Mysterio did make his usual comeback that he usually does, Mysterio being pretty much the underdog in every match he's in, right?
Yeah.
But, near the end, Swagger did apply the ankle lock on Mysterio right and everyone thought, okay, that's it, he's over. He has an injured ankle. He's going to tap out, but no, just like what Eddie Guerrero did at WrestleMania 20, Mysterio did manage to remove his boot. Just like what Guerrero did to Angle, right?
He literally took his boot off. He literally untied his boot. Them thinking, oh, he's just going to try to relieve pressure. Nope.
Yeah, Swagger went in for the kill, applied that ankle lock like we mentioned, but Mysterio removed his boot in the move. And then he performed a Hurricane Rana on Swagger and got the pinfall on Swagger with the Rana to retain the championship.
Yep.
After like a good hard-fought battle between the two, and Rey Mysterio at this point was exhausted, but Rey Mysterio couldn't even celebrate the win because Swagger went on the attack again, beating down Mysterio some more, and that's when Kane came out, chased Swagger off, and we thought, okay, at least freaking Swagger got got freaking got scared out of the arena because, Kane was also feuding with Swagger at this time as well.
Yeah, well, supposedly trying to figure out who hurt his brother.
Yeah, and then Kane accused Swagger of it. Swagger denied it. And, of course, that's why freaking he chased Swagger off the attack on Mysterio. But Mysterio was down and out. He was injured. He was hurt. He was beaten up. But he barely...
What does Kane do? They hit his music and he cashes in.
It's like Kane then came back out again with his music, like you said. And then it was announced that Kane was going to cash in his Money in the Bank right then and there. And I'm just like... And the crowd... Despite Kane doing this as a heel or a heelish tactic, everyone was cheering this. Keep that in mind.
Yeah.
And then the referee rang the bell. We had another world title match. And then freaking Kane then freaking chokeslammed freaking Mysterio down before picking Mysterio back up and hitting Mysterio with a tombstone to get the pinfall and win the World Heavyweight Championship in about 54 seconds. Yeah. So thus making Kane the first person to cash in his Money in the Bank successfully the same night he won it.
Shortly within an hour of winning his Money in the Bank.
So, overall, now I need to ask you this. This is kind of a unique situation here. Your thoughts on the Mysterio Swagger match from bell to bell?
It was decent. It told what it needed to tell with Swagger versus Mysterio.
Yeah. And after that was done over with, what's your opinion on Kane cashing in and defeating Mysterio immediately afterwards to win the World Heavyweight Championship?
Well, everyone knew he was going to do fucking something.
Yes. And mind you, even though Kane destroyed the beloved Rey Mysterio to win this World Heavyweight Championship in an unfair advantage, everyone in the arena was going nuts and everyone was cheering Kane. Like he was the dang savior of SmackDown or something.
Yeah.
And I think it's because of the fact that everybody wanted to see Kane win the World Heavyweight Championship, knowing that he was been a veteran of that company for years and actually deserved this win in this title reign.
Yeah.
After losing so many world title matches and only having a one-day reign with the WWE Championship back in '98. Everyone wanted to see Kane as champion, despite the heelish tactic and how he won it.
It was over a decade that he had won the title.
And I remember seeing this. I remember seeing this in real time, and even I was like, "Yep, that's a well-deserved win." And if you were if you were a long life Kane fan back in the day, like I was actually happy to see this too, and well-deserved. I'm pretty sure you were a Canaanite too back then.
Canaanite.
That's what Kane called his fans for some reason. It's like,
we all knew that you were a Canaanite.
Well, so were you. You were also an Undertaker fan. You couldn't have one without the other back then.
I was an under night.
No, you were the creature of the night.
Yes. That's what Jeff Hardy calls his fans.
And that's what Taker also called his fans as well before Jeff Hardy did.
Jeff Hardy stole Undertaker's shtick.
I mean, hell, you see any of these promos with the Undertaker back in the late 90s, he would always reference his fans as creatures of the night. But anyway, yeah, I thought the Kane cashing in was actually a good thing to see. I'm not going to argue about it, even though it was a squash and a cash-in on the same night. Kane was the first person to do so.
Yeah.
But anyway, we go from the highs of Kane cashing in and winning the World Heavyweight Championship to a low, because the next match on this card was Kelly challenging Layla for Layla's Women's Championship, and Layla had Michelle McCool in her corner. And who did Kelly have in her corner?
This is a backstage segment where she was literally calling her Smelly Kelly.
Exactly. And I'm just like, what is up with this freaking...
Which, if rumors are to be true right now, Kelly may come back for one more run, is what she's saying. So they're in talks with their contract.
Oh yeah, and Kelly had Tiffany in her corner. Not Tiffany Stratton. Tiffany, the former general manager of WWE ECW at this point. Lord knows no one wants to remember WWE ECW, though. And, this one I really wasn't into either, but to me the most entertaining part of this match was Michelle McCool's antics on the outside.
Yeah.
That made me laugh a little bit, so it gave this match a little bit of points for me. But in the end, after the interference spots, including freaking Kelly having the win, but Michelle McCool putting Layla's foot on the rope, or should we say attempting to put Layla's foot on the rope. All right. Or despite all that, freaking Kelly in the end got distracted, but Kelly then attempted a sunset flip on Layla, who countered into a roll-up pin to retain the championship after about another short women's match here.
Yeah.
Sorry to say this, but Michelle McCool, who recently got married to The Undertaker at this time in real life, was the more entertaining one out there to me. But yeah, with the way her interference spots, the way she was acting all cocky and a little bit comically on the outside. Your thoughts on this one?
It was decently done it was better than the Divas match.
That's debatable, but hey, to me, this was the weakest match on the card, though I did enjoy Michelle McCool's little antics on the outside. That actually made me laugh. I'm not gonna lie. And I'm just like, jeez. If you can make me laugh, that gives the match points just for that. Right?
Yeah.
But other than that, I really wasn't a big fan of this one. Ugh. So now we go to the craziness, which was the Raw's Money in the Bank ladder match. This was the semi-main of the night, which saw Randy Orton versus Jericho versus Edge versus Evan Bourne versus John Morrison versus The Miz versus Mark Henry versus Ted DiBiase Jr.
Which Ted DiBiase Jr. wasn't even supposed to be in the match.
It was supposed to be, R-Truth was supposed to be in this match.
Yes.
Oh, and I really hate to say this now. I know we were talking about 2010, but looking at this with modern day eyes, because we can just kind of say this is kind of near the modern day era, it was kind of weird to see Ted DiBiase Jr. come out with Maurice instead of The Miz. Even though the Maurice was his manager at that time.
Well, they were also dating at that time. It was Ted DiBiase Jr. and Maurice.
Yeah, and if you ask me, throughout the later years, Maurice upgraded. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Whatever you say, smartass.
Who are you calling smartass?
You!
Okay, fine. You're calling me a smartass? Okay. Let's put it by 2025 standards. Who's the bigger star? DiBiase Jr. or The Miz? The Miz. Who's a two-time former WWE champion? And who's the one possibly facing prison time? The Miz is the former champion. DiBiase is possibly facing prison time.
Uh-huh.
At time of recording, I don't know. I haven't really kept up with that story. Right?
Whatever you say.
But anyway, let's talk about this matchup here. One of the spots I remember seeing was Randy Orton performing his signature elevated DDT on Evan Bourne, but he wasn't using the middle rope like he usually does. He was using the ladder.
Yeah, but at this point, I was kind of expecting the RKO, the flying RKO, when he pulled him off the ladder and then just fucking hits him like that. But he didn't. He let them hit the ground and then he did it.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm like, yeah, I forgot he didn't do that until later years.
Yeah, and then also this was a good spot later on in the match when the Miz attempted a catapult on Morrison, but onto a ladder, but that was propped up in the ring. But Morrison climbed up the ladder instead to try to get under the briefcase, only to get stopped by, I believe, Edge. Right.
Yes.
Yeah, and then then the Miz dove through another ladder onto Morrison, and then at one point, what was it? Evan Bourne was climbing a ladder and Jericho got his legs stuck on the ladder rung, similar to what happened at WrestleMania 24 with Jericho when Punk did that.
Literally hung Jericho there.
Yeah, the same thing that happened to Jericho during the WrestleMania 24's Money in the Bank ladder match when Punk did it to Jericho. But eventually Jericho was able to get himself out of there. Right.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and then everybody was, but then freaking Mark Henry got a bunch of freaking dang finishers done onto him on the outside, taking him out. I think he ate like
Mark Henry got taken out real fucking quick.
Of course, before Mark Henry got taken out with I believe 3 finishers on the outside, and the last one being Edge's Spear, it was kind of amazing to see Mark Henry being able to climb the ladder with Evan Bourne on his back. That was about 600 pounds of weight. And I'm like, I'm surprised the ladder could handle that much. Right?
Yeah.
But like I said, Mark Henry got taken out after Morrison performed a springboard roundhouse kick using the ring apron to bounce onto Henry. Jericho then performed the code breaker, and Edge then performed the spear on the outside, thus taking Henry out of the action. And I believe Edge was about to grab the briefcase. I think it was the Miz or Jericho. I think Jericho was the one who pushed Edge off the freaking ladder. Or no, was it Orton that pushed Edge off the ladder through that other ladder that was propped up upside down? Because I know that's how Edge got taken out of the match.
I think it was Randy. It was Randy.
Yeah, I know Randy. Okay, I know Edge got taken out that way. Randy Orton was the one who did that. And in the end, freaking Orton attempted to retrieve the briefcase himself like the slithering snake he is. Only for the Miz to come back, pushing Orton off the ladder, causing him to fall down all the way down. And then Miz freaking climbed up the ladder and retrieved the briefcase.
The Miz pushed the ladder towards the rope, and Randy got hung up on the rope.
Yeah, but either way, following that, with everybody down, Miz took the advantage, climbed up the ladder, and retrieved the Raw Money in the Bank briefcase to win the match.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then after the match, the Miz did cut a promo saying, "This is to all the haters that I couldn't do it, basically. I will be a future WWE champion. I'm Mr. Money in the Bank, and I'm awesome." Which, honestly, the Miz would be correct in that statement. He would become a WWE champion via Money in the Bank cash-in. Not once, but twice in his career, as we know.
But he wasn't awesome. He was lame.
No. You should have. No. You totally missed the freaking opportunity to say, no, he wasn't awesome. He was awful. That's what everyone would say back then. I'm sorry, but the Miz's character, he's just so well hated. He makes a better heel than a face, obviously. Right?
Yeah.
I know they tried Miz I know they tried with The Miz being a face a couple times, but it just didn't work. That's just my opinion. The Miz was better off as a heel.
It didn't work well.
Like how, like this is just off topic. This is off topic, but to me, the best freaking face work that Miz ever done was when he was a tag champion with R-Truth last year.
The Awesome Truth.
Yes. To me, that was the only face run that freaking The Miz had that was actually decent. The rest of his career, he makes a better heel. All right.
Yeah.
But speaking of heels, we gotta talk about this main event now. Now, I don't want to go into great big detail of it, but the main event of this freaking pay-per-view was Sheamus defending the WWE Championship against John Cena. In a steel cage.
Yeah. Well, they made it a steel cage because the Nexus kept interfering in the matches.
It's like, yes, and even John Cena asked Sheamus, you need to be on my side, and Sheamus pretty much declined until friggin' they went to go attack until the Nexus tried to attack Sheamus. Right backstage, and Sheamus was like, nope, Cena, where are you? Right. Which I found comical during this little build-up video they were showing. But anyway, after the match got started, after the entrance of the match got started here, Sheamus was the first person to use the cage as a weapon. When he threw Cena into it. And I want to say this just for the record. The official did lock the freaking door shut so no one can escape through the cage door. And so no one can get in. And somewhere that made Jesse Ventura really happy.
Really?
Oh, you've seen Saturday Night's Main Event a couple weeks ago. You know what I'm referencing there.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, and then Sheamus was in control early on with a couple of axe handles. But, Cena countered the third axe handle and lifted Sheamus for the attitude adjustment, but Sheamus got out of it. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Cena freaking took Sheamus down with a bulldog from the top turnbuckle, which I thought was a good spot, only for Sheamus to kick out at 2. Right?
Yep.
And then later on, Cena tried to attempt a 5-knuckle shuffle, but Sheamus got out of the way. And then Sheamus was now in control. And let's talk about the spot where he tied Cena up between the middle and top ropes. Hog tying Cena here, and then Sheamus, being the ever asshole is, used Cena as a stepstone to try to climb out of the cage. Which I'm like, wow, that ass, right? But Cena got out of it and stopped Sheamus from escaping the cage. And then after Sheamus applied a sleeper hold, which put Cena down for a little bit, Sheamus then delivered a broad kick onto Cena for a 2 count. And then
Cena kicked out.
Yeah, then Sheamus, visibly frustrated here, tried to hit Cena with a Celtic Cross, but Cena reversed it into an attitude adjustment, aka the FU. Whatever you want to call it.
The FU.
Yeah, but Sheamus recovered from that and recountered into a freaking Irish Curse backbreaker. Right?
Yeah.
And then Cena freaking came back after that and delivered another attitude adjustment for a 2 count. Right? And that's when your boys, the Nexus, led by Wade Barrett, decided to show up and ruin the party. All right?
Yeah, they tried to... Michael Tarver brought bolt cutters.
Which a referee came from the back and actually stole the bolt cutters and ran off. And then Wade Barrett tried to bully the referee on the outside of the cage, saying, hand us the key now. Which the referee on the outside took the key out and just threw it into the audience, saying, fuck you. You ain't getting the key. You ain't getting in. right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then
Gonna let them interfere with that.
and then the brawl between Cena and Sheamus continued in the ring, which at one point the referee got taken out, right? Referee down at the crucial point in match cliche. And then Cena locked Sheamus into the STF, which Sheamus tapped out, but there was no referee to call it at this point. False finish, right?
Yeah.
And then Cena tried to escape, but Justin Gabriel climbed up the cage to interfere, only for Cena to throw him into the cage, into the ring, and knock him out.
Yep.
And then other Nexus members tried to interfere to stop Cena from escaping the cage, which Sheamus then recovered and climbed up the cage quickly on the opposite side of Cena, and actually managed to escape. Yeah, and Sheamus managed to escape and actually retain the championship. And he ran off into the crowd, just escaping, saying, "Fuck this shit, I'm out." Right?
Exactly what you would say.
And thus winning the match and retaining his championship. But then after the match, irate Cena attacked Darren Young and Michael Tarver at ringside, just beating the holy crap out of both those guys, taking them out of the process, and he took Tarver's Nexus armband off of him and then walked away with it like a boss, signifying Cena's next rivalry was with the Nexus going into the next pay-per-view, which I believe was the 2010 SummerSlam. Which, we'll talk about that when we get there. That was a controversial finish to that main event, but we'll talk about that match when we get to that event. Right?
Yep.
But anyway, your thoughts on this whole Cena Sheamus cage match that had the Nexus interference at the end?
It was good. Sheamus literally got his props for beating Cena legitimately in the cage match without the interference.
Yeah, but the thing was, like, the Nexus may have not have physically interfered in the match, but they wanted to.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought it was a good match to end the show. Did the interference kind of hurt a little bit? Yeah, but not by much from me. Right?
Yep.
So yeah, now is the point of the review that I always say is our favorite portion of the review, and that's our rating system and overall grade. So here we go. Kane winning the SmackDown Money in the Bank ladder match. I gave that one 5 out of 5.
5 out of 5.
Alicia Fox defeating Eve Torres to retain the Divas Championship. I only gave that one 3 out of 5.
I gave it a 3.5.
Yeah, you enjoyed it a little bit more than I did. The Hart Dynasty defeating the Usos to retain the Unified Tag Team Championships. I gave that one 3.5 out of 5.
I gave that a 4.
Rey Mysterio defeating Jack Swagger to retain the World Heavyweight Championship. The World Championship. I gave that one 3.5 out of 5.
4.
And then immediately afterwards, Kane defeating Rey Mysterio to win the World Championship after cashing in his newly won Money in the Bank. Sorry for a squash match. I gave that one 5 out of 5.
5. Well, I gave the Rey Mysterio and Jack Swagger a 4 out of 5, actually, because it was actually a decent match.
Yep. And Kane winning the World Championship at the end via Money in the Bank cash-in. I gave that one 5 out of 5.
Yep.
Layla defeating Kelly to retain the Women's Championship. I gave that one 2.5 out of 5.
I gave it 3.5.
The Miz winning the Raw Money in the Bank ladder match, I gave that one 5 out of 5.
3.5.
So you like the SmackDown Money in the Bank a little bit better?
Yes.
To me, they were on the same scale. And in the main event, which saw Sheamus defeating John Cena in that steel cage match to retain the WWE Championship, I gave that one 4 out of 5. Because, like I said, the Nexus interference kind of hurt it a bit.
I give it a 5 out of 5 without the interference. But with the interference, so technically it would be 2 scores. So it would be a 5 out of 5 without the interference, because that was a classic banger that they put on. Yeah. And with the interference, I'd have to say 4.5.
So my overall final grade for Money in the Bank 2010 is a B+.
A-.
Yeah, I was dwelling between B+ and A- myself. But I ultimately went with B+ here. And obviously, my personal highlights, that if you don't want to watch this whole event, the highlights I should say would be Kane winning the SmackDown Money in the Bank ladder match, Kane cashing in on Mysterio, obviously, and of course the Raw Money in the Bank ladder match. And of course the Raw Money in the Bank ladder match. Those are my 3 recommended matches from this show to go back and watch.
Yeah, Kane literally cashed in within half an hour of winning the Money in the Bank.
Yep, being the first WWE superstar to cash in the Money in the Bank contract the same night he won it.
Yes.
So yeah, that's why this event is obviously still talked about in historical, because Kane's the first person in history to do so.
Yes. And the Miz was a fucking liar, because he was also saying, "Oh, I'm going to cash it in on the first night."
Yeah, that didn't happen. Sheamus didn't even give him the chance. He ran off like, "Nope, screw this, I'm out."
Yeah. Well, Edge, you couldn't really say that he was, because he almost had it and then it slipped through his grasp.
Yep. So yeah, anyway, moving on. That's our thoughts about Money in the Bank 2010. Now, the ball's in your court. I know. Sunday we're going to be putting up the Money in the Bank 2025 review video, considering Money in the Bank 2025 takes place literally tomorrow at time of recording, Saturday. Yes. So, ball's in your court. Are you going to reveal what our next classic pay-per-view review is going to be right now, or are you going to wait till after the Money in the Bank 2025 review is done?
Oh, it's going to wait. I'm going to let everyone stir.
Jeez. Damn.
And I'm going to watch you squirm.
Oh, God. I really don't like the sound of that, because knowing you, it could be a...
Uncensored. 95.
I know that's not it, because you just said it could be
of wrestling.
It could be a crappy event. Freaking stop with the dwell pattern. I know. I think everyone who listens to this knows how you work. It could either be a decent event or it could be a crappy one, but just remember, crap for crap. You give me a crappy event, you're going to get one the week after.
Yeah, and then I'll give you shit.
I think we were like, what, in a 2-month string of just crappy events at the end of last year? Do we really want to go down that path again? Because we've been actually reviewing decent events recently. Oh, God, I really don't like that goddamn laugh. I guess I'll just have to find out. Okay, I guess I'll find out literally on Sunday what we're doing next week. So until then, we will talk to y'all later. Peace.
Wait, before we end this, remember everyone, tomorrow there's 2 events that will be live. Either the first one will either be on Peacock and YouTube, And then the Money in the Bank will be on straight after.
Yeah, because Money in the Bank is on Peacock. The AAA event is on. I think it's on Peacock. I could be wrong, but I know it's on YouTube because they've been advertising it for YouTube.
I think it's on both.
Yeah.
And just remember, guys, two of his biggest favorite superstars are going to be back to back. There's going to be Chad Gable and then El Grande Americano.
I am not a fan of Chad Gable. Why do you keep pinning that on me? And you notice I said Chad Gable only. We know he's also El Grande Americano. The CG that El Grande Americano was wearing on the boots he was wearing with those initials does not stand for Chelsea Green. I don't know why people think that.
Chelsea Green.
I don't know why people think that all of a sudden. I'm like, we all know it's Chad Gable under a mask. It's plain obvious.
It's the same fucking shit that he went and got a couple fucking months or weeks ago. Or no, a couple months ago before his match at Mania.
Oh, and just for the record, we're only going to be reviewing Money in the Bank 2025. We're not going to be reviewing the AAA event.
I'm just letting people know.
Yeah. But anyway, we can dispute. We can dispute this all we want to, but you know for a fact El Grande Americano is Chad Gable under a mask. We've been saying that since day one.
Everyone knew that it was Chad Gable. Because even Adam Pearce knew when he's like, oh, hey, Elcano, and then fucking Chad Gable's like, hey. He's like, fuck.
Yes, and even freaking when El Grande Americano has his matches on Raw, you have freaking Michael Cole on commentary saying, hey, Chad, how's it going? And Pat McAfee's trying to play it off. That is not Chad Gable. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, he interacts with that name, though.
Exactly. But anyway, we can debate this all we want. God, I'm looking forward to Money in the Bank 2025. We'll be having a freaking debate about that all damn night during the Money in the Bank match. Talking about it. Ugh. So anyway, that's where we're going to leave you on. So yeah, that was our review of Money in the Bank 2010, along with the bullshit about Chad Gable.
Hey, I have to leave it on a funny note.
Yep, so yeah, anyway, we hope you enjoyed, and we'll talk to y'all later. Peace.
Deuces.